Hello and welcome to It's Your Voice. I am your host, Anita DeFrancesco, and this is a variety of topics under the umbrella of mindfulness, sexuality, and relationships. Every week I bring you a different topic, and this topic for this week is letting go of resistance. Now, this title, It's Your Voice, was born out of the DonnaGentileStory.com, a true crime book that I wrote, which is available on Amazon. Gentile is the spelling of the last name. And it was born, this title, It's Your Voice, out of her story, being a woman that was voiceless in a very young age, and where we have come to in this day and age. And this podcast is dedicated to all the voiceless women of the world. May your voice be heard. So let's get started with our topic, letting go of resistance. As Eckhart Tolle says, letting go of inner resistance, you often find circumstances change for the better. He says that inner non-resistance is the real doing nothing. So ego and resistance are in a constant fight. And the more you have resistance, the harder you have to work. And your heart works harder. Your emotions work harder. You become very in a struggling mode with your own self-identity. The intense alertness lives within you. So when the real doing nothing, the non-resistance, this is the intense alertness that lives within, as Eckhart Tolle says. And it's important to understand what resistance is so that we can become more conscious, more aware, and learn how to let go of these this lockedness that binds us from reality. The ego believes that in your resistance lies your strength, whereas in reality, resistance splits you from your being in your truth. So when you're in the resistance, that is where the pulpit of your truth lives. That is where the pulpit of your strength lives. So what we want to do is take this resistance and place it aside, categorize in your thinking, put it on a table and look at it. Love it. Give it energy, give it vibration. The only way you're going to overcome this resistance is by learning to love yourself, is one of the ways. So if you have a lot of resistance, it's going to split you from being in your truth. It's a weakness and a fear masquerading as strength. So it is the face that you don't, it is the pseudo false personality that you wear. And this masquerading is a false strength, which becomes the ego. And what the ego perceives as weakness is your power and innocence and purity. What it sees as strength is weakness. So you're in a fight with your ego. You're in a constant fight with ego and resistance. They are married to each other, actually. The ego resistance mode keeps and plays counterfeit roles to cover up for your weakness. So we're not really weak. It's just that we're afraid of our own vulnerableness. People are afraid to show their feelings, not because they're weak or they don't feel good about themselves or don't accept themselves or don't feel intelligent enough or better enough, but because they're afraid of being attacked and shut down and rejected by people. You say something that makes a lot of sense and all of a sudden people can attack you. And so then you become the outcast. And you're in this outcast feeling, like a pariah. You're out there. You're on your own, and it's an abandoning type feeling. So if you're exposed to this type of stuff as a child, of not being accepted in the family circle or the family unit, this can extend into your regular life. So it's important to have a cohesiveness within your family unit growing up. And, so that you can grow into the world that way. But that's a whole nother topic as well. So resistance mode, it plays the counterfeit roles to cover up for your weakness. And again, it is not weakness. In reality, it's your power. Surrendering is really necessary. Letting go of grudges, surrendering, because then you will no longer need your ego and the defenses and the false masks. But if you do not take the steps to surrender, you will continue to live in what we call unconsciousness. And that's not a good place to be, because you miss out on life. Taking a breath, you're listening to It's Your Voice. I'm your host, Anita DeFrancesco. Resistance is a wall that is invisible. Now, walls are something we don't need, but we do need healthy boundaries. So a healthy boundary versus a wall. Let's think about that. Come into where you create these healthy boundaries for yourself. That it is okay to take a step forward into a relationship or show your feelings to someone or have your voice be outspoken or, being confronted by others. It is okay, but you must have the healthy boundary. Like driving a car, you have car insurance. That's the boundary. You get in an accident and you're covered. Well, as a human being, you have to cover yourself, and it's not money. It's your somatic body. It's your emotions. So in terms of resistance, people don't want to know what they don't know. They don't want to know what they don't know. They're actually hiding from themselves. Huh. Amazing. Resistance is an unconscious unwillingness backed by fear, and it's a pattern. And patterns need to be recreated. You can break a pattern, but they come back. So in the somatic body, the work needs to be done. Of course, which I do that Willem Reich's work, orgone energy therapy, where these patterns are addictions. You're addicted to your emotions. You're not even addicted to anything. You're not even addicted to people or drugs or anything like that. You're addicted to the emotion of whatever it is that you're in fear of. So we are addicted to our emotions, but we camouflage it with like a drink or alcohol or people or something that we could be addicted to or make believe, but it's really just your emotions. Those are just, again, it's just a smokescreen. So these resistance is considered a block, and blocks in the body are frozen or trauma. They create what we call split and manifest as armor. So this wall. The biggest resistance, of course, is in fear. It's a comfort blanket for people. How about that? But you know what? If you learn to hug yourself and love yourself, and once you let go of the resistance, you will have a community of friends where you will find that love, that acceptance, that awakening. Now, Freud encounters tenacious resistance, as I do when I see clients in the psychotherapeutic coaching, love, and relationship coaching sessions. The deeper the analysis, the greater the resistance, because people are afraid to acknowledge themselves to themselves, let alone to a stranger, a therapist. So what happens is, in this, sometimes it can be a good thing in the middle of therapy, because they can have a breakthrough, and that's where you're coming to the edge. So if the therapist or coach is really good and they know how to tap into that or help them tap into it, then what happens is the resistance becomes the breakthrough. So resistance and other emotional issues are represented by the monsters and the demons. So you've heard people say they have demons, they live with demons, and they're blocked. This blocks us from our hero, our aspiring hero, the aspiring person we want to be. It blocks us. It puts that shield over something that we cannot see beyond, because we have to let the light in. And this is where the soul and the spirit work come. It all has to be done together, cognitive, soul, spirit, so that you can firstly see the light, connect to awareness, connect to your psychological being, and then move forward. But resistance takes many guises. Inner conflict, anxiety, procrastination, not showing up, indecision, passive aggressive. I love you today, I hate you tomorrow, or I'm right today, I'm wrong tomorrow. That passive aggressive, where they're passive and then all of a sudden they're aggressive, almost looks kind of bipolar-ish, but not necessarily, is it? Criticism, people who criticize you, point the finger at you. You should have did this, or their endless opinions on how others should be living or should not be living, or you should eat this or should not be eating that, or you should dress this way or should not be dressing that way. And these people are avoiding what we call, they're projecting because they're avoiding they're up against a wall with their own resistance. They're up against this wall, and they're trying to find a way out by tapping or criticizing another person. So that person emits emotions. That person becomes upset and becomes emotional, and that might give them a little juice, a little food to connect to some emotion within themselves. It's an ongoing cycle. Self-doubt. That's what it's about. Fear is the mother, of course, of all resistance. Now, do you ever hear of analysis paralysis? When people say, well, when I get a mate, or when I get a home, or when I become a certain age, or when I finish college, I'm going to be ready. Ready for what? To let go of the resistance, to love yourself? You know what? It's about the present moment. And that's where we go into the fantasy of the future. The future is the savior, but the future is not the savior. It is the present moment where you shape your future. Of course, the past is gone, but those experiences live in your body. So they're not going to be gone forever, the past, but we have to shape the present moment. We have to stay in the present moment as to shape the future. So how to heal from all this? Recreating yourself, reopening, cognitive reframing, restructuring, breaking patterns. And the way to break the patterns, of course, is through a lot of breathing work, this orgone energy, Dr. Willem Reich's work. And breaking these patterns requires a lot of courage and attention to the self, to want to come out and take a step forward and not be so in fear. It's a journey. Creating the newness. So reticular activating system, directing the attention toward desire. So the desire will help with the essences of the body, opening up the essences, the feelings, the senses. Sensory perception exercises are wonderful, because once you direct your attention toward desire, then the desire helps you to open and let go of resistance, because it's backed with maybe the pleasure principle feelings of some sort in any way, like having the desire to take a trip somewhere and explore the world. Some people have a lot of resistance with that kind of activity. But if you tap into desire, chances are you may open up your heart. So tapping into the senses. So I'm going to leave you with one more thing here on this. The brain supports manifestation, and the brain is throughout your body. It is not in the skull. People think the brain is in the head, but your brain lives throughout your body, and this supports manifestation. Thank you for listening to It's Your Voice. I've been your host, Anita DeFrancesco, and our topic is today, letting go of resistance. And this is dedicated to the DonnaGentile.com, Gentile, a true crime book that you can find on Amazon that I wrote, a woman who didn't have a voice, and I am her voice today. And this is dedicated to all the voiceless women of the world. Thank you for tuning in. Next time.